Welcome, this is Sebastian Summers Mathematics. Today we're learning about cube roots and their properties. We're basically understanding their properties. So welcome to cube roots. So today we're exploring cube roots and how they will work. You will learn what cube roots are and why they matter. So by the end, you will be able to solve problems using cube roots. The opening circle, the open circle, I'm just gonna talk to you guys at the end. What is a cube root? So, a cube root is a number that, when multiplied by itself 3 times, gives you the original number. So the symbol of a cube root is the radical sign with a small 3. For example, the cube root of 8 is equal to 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Reread this sign here as the cube root of 8. Cube roots versus squares. So, square roots use 2 factors. The square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. Cube roots use 3 factors. The cube root of 27 is 3 because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So both are inverse operations. They undo exponents. Cube roots work with exponents of 3, while square roots work with exponents of 2. Okay. Finding cube roots. Perfect cubes. So, perfect cubes are numbers that have whole number cube roots. So, common perfect cubes. 1, 8, 27, 64, 125, 216, 343, 512, 729, and 1000. The cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 8 is 2. The cube root of 27 is 3. The cube root of 64 is 4. The cube root of 125 is 5. So, work alone to find the cube root of 216. But discuss. Wait. For this, I'm gonna have you answer in the comments. How to calculate cube roots. So, ask yourself, what number times itself 3 times equals this number? So start by testing small whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check your answer by multiplying it 3 times. So, example. The cube root of 125 equals 5, because 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Cube roots can be negative, unlike square roots. The cube root of negative 8 is negative 2 because negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. A negative number cubed always gives a negative result. So, this is different from square roots, which don't have real negative solutions. So, remember what I taught you if you were in, the intro to algebra? So, positive times positive is positive. Positive times positive equals positive. Negative times negative equals positive. Positive times negative is negative. And negative times positive is a negative. Properties of cube roots. So we could multiply cube roots together. The cube root of a times the cube root of b equals cube root of a times b. So example, the cube root of 2 times the cube root of 4 is equal to the cube root of 8, which is equal to 2. This property helps simplify complex cube root problems. You could also work backwards. The cube root of a times b is the cube root of a times the cube root of b. Properties of cube roots division. So you could divide cube roots. The cube root of a times divided by cube root of b, which is equal to cube root of a divided by b. Example, the cube root of 64 divided by the cube root of 8 is equal to the cube roots of 64 divided by 8 is equal to the cube root of 8 equals 2. This works as long as you're not dividing by 0. Division helps simplify fractions of cube roots. So, we have over here cube root of 10,648. So, for this, okay, so the cube root of 10,648 is equal to 22. So simplifying cube roots. So to simplify the cube root of 24, find perfect cube factors. 24 equals 8 times 3. So the cube root of 24 equals the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 3, which is equal to the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 3, which is equal to 2 cube 3, which is how I say it. Look for factors that are perfect cubes. So 8, 27, 64, 125, 216, 343, 512. Your answer should have no perfect cubes under the radical sign. So, cube roots and exponents. So, cube roots can be written as exponents. The cube root of x is equal to x to the power of 1/3. This means raising something to the 1/3 power is the same as finding its cube root. So example, which is 8 times the cube root, 8 to the power of 1/3, which is basically how I'd write it. Which is basically the square root of 8. Which is equal to 2. So understanding this connection helps with more advanced math. Real-world applications. So, cube roots help find the side length of a cube when you know the volume. If a cube has a volume of 125 cubic meters, each side is 5 meters. So engineers and architects use cube roots in construction and design. Scientists use them in chemistry and physics calculations. One question. Why would anyone use cube roots for chemistry and physics? Type it down in the comments or write it on a separate sheet of paper if you have one. Estimating cube roots. So, not all numbers are perfect cubes, so you need to estimate. To estimate the cube root of 50. Note that the cube root of 27 is 3 and the cube root of 64 is 4. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna write on sticky note. So the cube root of 50 is somewhere between 3 or 4. Okay. Get closer by testing. So 3.5 times 3.5 times 3.5, which is equal to 42.875. So it's slightly higher. So well, what I do is I do tenths. So 3.6 to the power of 3. And then I get 5,832 divided by 125. I do not know why I got that. Okay. So. Okay. So what I would do is I would divide 5,832 by 125. Okay, so I'm gonna subtract 583 by 125, which will get 458. Then, okay, that's 1. 2, which will get 333. I have another one. 20883. So 4. Wait, hold up. 5,832 divided by 125. Okay. So, okay. So we have, wait, I did not mean it. 5,832. And then we're getting divided by 125. 46.656. Which is basically 3.6 squared. It's slightly higher than 3.6 squared. So 3.7 times 3.7 times 3.7 times 3.7 times 3.7. 50.653. So 3.69 times 3. Okay, 3.69 times 3.69 times 3.69. 50.24. 3.68 times 3.68 times 3.68. So, we're getting close. 3.682 times 3.682 times 3.682. Okay. 36 point. Okay. So, my rough estimate is going to be around 3.7. So estimation helps you check if your calculator answer makes sense. Compass points activity. So, move to a corner based on your answer to this question. Which is larger? Okay. So, the north corner, which my room is located, is in the walls. So, my north wall is behind me, so move to the Well, it's basically moved to the wall based on the answer to this question, which is what. So the north wall will be the square root, not square root, cube root of 100. South wall, which is the direction I'm facing, the, the, the cube root of 50 is larger. So east wall here to the left of me, they're equal, and the west to my right, I'm not sure. Once in your wall, discuss why you chose that answer if others are there. So, yeah. Okay. So, for if you're commenting on my videos, so you need to start your sentences with "I agree with you because." At first I was thinking but now I think Then why do you think that? I have a different opinion because whatever. Can you explain that more? You just gave me a great idea. So keep the conversation going in my comments. So common mistakes to avoid. So don't confuse cube roots with square roots. Remember about the small 3 in a symbol. If you forget to work, then you're kind of pushing yourself in new circles. So don't forget that negative numbers can have cube roots. Then don't assume the cube root of a plus b is equal to the cube root of a plus cube root of b. This is not true. Always check your work by cubing your answer. So, what I mean by this, I mean multiply 3 times by that number. So, whatever number you get, multiply that 3 times by itself. I'm sure that it's correct. Okay, practice problem number 1. So, find the cube root of 343. So, if you're doing back to back, then face to face, stand back to back with a partner, solve a problem, return face to face to compare answers. So if you got different answers, work together to find the correct one. Be ready to explain your thinking in the comments. So, if you want to pause the record, you can. I'm just gonna pause for 20 seconds. Okay. If you got the 7 as your answer, then you are correct. Practice problem 2. Simplify the cube root of 54. Think, pair, share. First, solve it alone, then discuss with a partner, then we will share solutions. Hint, find the perfect cube factor of 54. So remember, your final answer should have no perfect cubes under the radical. I'm gonna pause for 20 seconds. You can pause the record. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Practice problem 3. A cube-shaped container holds 512 cubic inches of water. So, what is the length of one side of a container? So you need to find the cube root of 512. So, show your work and explain how you found your answer. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Key takeaways. Cube roots find the number that multiplies by itself 3 times to make the original number. So perfect cubes have whole number cube roots. So cube roots follow multiplication and division properties. So cube roots appear in real-world problems involving volume and dimensions. Closing circle and affection. So exit ticket. So answer one of these questions on a piece of paper. Question 1. What was the most helpful thing you learned today about cube roots? 2. What is one cube root problem that you can now solve that you couldn't before? 3. What question do you still have about cube roots? Answer them in the comments. Appreciations. Share one thing a classmate did well during today's lesson. Or friend, or YouTuber, whatever. If you have questions, if you are one of my subscribers, then I'll see you Monday the 23rd. If you have any questions. So, thank you. Thanks for watching this video. This is probably part 1. Like and subscribe.